Hi, everyone. You are watching and listening to the Crockin Moms TV show podcast. And I'm your host, Lisa Marie. Today, I'm going to be cooking live for you on television. And I'm also going to be interviewing a special guest for some special flavor. So, guys, oh my goodness, it's fall. Halloween is getting closer, and we have 1 week until Halloween. I cannot wait. My 5-year-old is in his first Halloween parade at school, so he cannot wait for us to come and see him. And, it's going to be a busy week. So when you are busy, these crock pot meals are amazing. And today I'm going to make a yummy meal for you guys. And I think I'm going to do that before the Halloween parade. And that's what's great about these slow cooker meals is that you put them right in the slow cooker. Hours later, boom, you got a yummy meal, and you could spend more time with your family. That's what we need, more time with our family, our kids, and less time worrying about dinner, right? So today I have a most amazing guest. I cannot wait to bring him on. And I'm also going to be making a creamy ranch chicken. So let's bring on, let me go over the ingredients, and then I will bring our guest on, and I'll show him what I'm cooking today too. All right, so for creamy ranch chicken, it is really easy to do. I have 3 to 4 chicken breasts already in my slow cooker, and I always spray my slow cooker before I cook anything with a non-stick cooking spray. But if you have a little bit of oil or vegetable oil, put in a paper towel or a towel, rub that around your slow cooker, you're good to go. Also, they have those slow cooker liner bags, which I love to use. And if you have one of those turkey bags, they work great as slow cooker liners too. I just cut them and put them on, and they work great with those cakes in the crock pot. And if you haven't ever made a cake in the crock pot, you can check out one of our past episodes. We made yummy cakes in the crock pot, but today we're making an amazing dinner. So very easy to do, 3 to 4 chicken breasts right here. And then you're also going to get a packet of ranch, dry ranch, and a packet of Italian seasoning. You're also going to get egg noodles, but if you don't want to use egg noodles, you can use rice too for your side. And then you're also going to get a can of cream of chicken soup, and you can use the low sodium. I love to use that, try to be more health conscious, but if you want to use the regular, it's fine too. Use what you have in your pantry, right? Food is so expensive right now. I always say, do what you can. But if you want to go healthier and it's in your budget, do it, because health is what matters, right? Okay, so also you're going to get a block of cream cheese, and you can use a half a block of it. Today I'm just using the whipped because this is what I have in my fridge, right? I don't want to go out and spend more money just for the show today. I figured, wait, I'm going to use what I have, because that's what I tell all my followers out there. Use what you got. And that's what's awesome about the slow cooker is that if you don't have an ingredient that we listed, you'll probably see in the comment box like, hey, I tried this or that. Or you can even write to us on Crockin Moms or Crockpot Moms and say, hey, what else could I use? I don't have that. And I'm sure most of my 1.2 million followers will comment back, or I will too. And we just always have really awesome alternatives to these recipes. That's what's so cool. So let's get to it. So I talked about the ingredients. We're making a creamy ranch chicken today. So let's bring Wesley Chapman on, our guest, and he's going to join us for some cooking and an awesome interview.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Wes. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well. I just turned on our crock pot per my my wife's orders. So
yay!
I don't know what's in there, but that's pretty much what we live and die by here on the ranch is crock pot cooking. So
well, first of all, by the way, I love Jody. Your wife, Jody Chapman, is amazing. And she is always posting these really cool things of what she's doing. And I feel like she needs to have her own show, by the way.
Yeah, you do well.
Yes, you too. I mean, like, I'm always following it. You guys are very engaging, and I love to see your life together. I mean, you have a beautiful family. And why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
It's a loaded question. So, I don't really know what I do anymore. Just kind of every day is different, but I don't have a standard answer for that. I mean, as you said, my name is Wes Chapman. We live up in northern Idaho on a ranch. We have a couple horses and some cattle and raise a bunch of stuff. I think we have a picture
of you with the horses. My TV producer might find and pull up while we're talking, by the way.
Yeah. No,
Wait, whose horse is that? Is that your horse?
That's one of my horses. Yeah, that's King Kisses.
What?
He's pretty famous now. So we call him the Seabiscuit of North Idaho. He's been on more magazine covers than I have. So he's a really cool horse. But yeah, so we live up here. We moved up here about, that's Jody. We moved up here about, gosh, it's been 6-7 years ago. Kind of slow life down a little bit and focus on the things that really matter. I don't think we accomplished the slow life down a little bit, but definitely are doing more things that we love doing.
Yeah, I mean, you guys just picked up, moved, and made this beautiful life. And on top of it, you live on this gorgeous ranch, right?
Yeah, we have a ranch now, just under 200 acres. It's surrounded by national forests, so we feel like we have a lot more than that, which is great, right on the river. And we live up here. We used to live in SoCal. And as you said, we just picked up one day and made a decision, but it was a little more complicated than just than that. We had some life things that happened. Jody's brother passed away unexpectedly, and it just made us really think about life and why do we always wait for tomorrow, right? That's always the question of, I'll do this tomorrow. I'll live my dream tomorrow. I'll create that thing tomorrow. I'll do that thing I've always wanted to do tomorrow. And we quickly learned, through experience that you may not get it tomorrow. So we took that to heart and decided we wanted to have our kids raised a little bit differently. We wanted to ourselves be a little different than the hustle and bustle of the California, New York lifestyle. And we moved up here. Everyone thought we were crazy, literally. They called us crazy, said we'd never make it, wouldn't survive, it wouldn't work, it was stupid. North Idaho, North Idaho doesn't have the best rap nationwide, just due to a couple of things that happened in the 80s and 90s here. So we've heard it all. But now, fast forward years later, now everybody wants to come up and visit us. So it's a little different. And, obviously COVID changed people's perspective a little bit. And then television show, Yellowstone didn't hurt getting the Western lifestyle a little bit more readily out there in the public. So.
Yes, exactly. Like I know, because my husband and I watch it, and when I see them doing stuff, I'm like, that reminds me of my friend Wes and his wife and their life, just funny things. And it makes you, I don't know, I love what you're doing because I watched when you moved there. And so I watched how you build it up and the things that you're experiencing and then the things that were brought to you as well. I mean, I thought it was neat. You were doing something with your horses. Can you tell me what you like to do? It was like not racing, but I forget what it was called, but I was like, that is so cool. You just got right into that.
Yeah, so I do a lot of different equestrian sports. Number one is cutting, if you're familiar with that. So horse cutting, basically what that is it's probably the most technical sport in the world, honestly. Requires so many intricate things. Like if you move your heel the wrong way, the whole thing can blow up. But the concept is in ranching, especially during spring and fall, you have to do a lot of things with horses and cows where you're moving cows and you want some cows to go one direction and another group of cows to go the other. They call it cutting. And so they turned it into a sport. It's now one of the fastest growing sports in the world of equestrian sports. It's phenomenal. It's incredibly difficult, but I love it. I'm addicted. And then in the winter, we do something called ski joring, which is basically, you race the horses as fast as you can on the snow while pulling a skier who is jumping over jumps. So
it's incredible.
It's a little crazy, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before. So when I saw you doing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is he doing now? And then I'm like, that is so cool. I'm like, then he's awesome at it. I'm like, everything he does, he's awesome at. So
well, I don't know about that, but I try.
Well, you are doing big things. I mean, let's talk about, I want to pull up a picture we have of you too. My producer has of you speaking on stage. You're not just a cowboy. You're many things. You're a dad. You're an amazing husband. You're an amazing dad. You also are an amazing speaker. Tell us a bit, like, look at you. Who is that? LL Cool J?
Yeah, that's Mr. Cool J. Spent some time with him a little while back. Great, humble guy, has an incredible story of his own of overcoming adversity in his childhood. So we had a great little conversation there. But yeah, I enjoy speaking. I enjoy having conversations. Man, you guys went down into the archives. I enjoy having conversations with people. I've never considered myself a keynote speaker, even though I've spoken to audiences as big as, 10,000 people in the room kind of
Wow,
thing. But
that's a lot.
I love to just I love to engage with human beings and see where and how I can help them. I have a lot of life experiences, so it started off honestly. Somebody just said, "Hey, would you come speak at this boys' home?" And then the boys' home turned into a foster facility. Then it turned into a prison. Then it turned into schools. And now I've shared the stage with everyone from Gary Vaynerchuk to Robert Herjavec to LL Cool J and Randy Jackson. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I've had an opportunity to interview and have meaningful conversations with icons like Dr. Drew. Anybody who grew up in the 80s and 90s, knows Loveline. So, just an incredibly intelligent human being. And I myself been able to speak and share my story and share, what motivates me. And most importantly, just help people unlock their true potential and stop being a victim in their own life and create their own hero story and journey.
Wow. Yeah, we do. We go into the archives. That's what we don't mess around on this show. It's fun because most people, our guests, will give us pictures or things that they want us to ask them and things like that. And you're just like, no, just ask me. I'm an open book. I'm here. And it just shows us to relax a little bit more and not to think so seriously all the time. Like, we get so nervous. We want to make sure that we're showing the best. And so it's so fun though, when we do go into the archives, when we have our guests, we learn so much about them that they don't tell us, and it's neat to kind of bring up on the show. So our followers here too, because you're so humble and you don't always talk about everything you're doing. And so it was really neat to learn some of the things that I haven't heard or what you do. And then here you're with this person and that person. And, you are doing big things. Currently, is there a project you guys are working on the ranch?
So I spend most of my time now in human trafficking, child slavery. That's where I spend the majority of my time and resources, is combating that, as well as social injustice, not in the purvive way of how the media has spun the last couple of years, actually the last couple of decades. Both Rodney King's daughter and George Floyd's sister are, people that I've had conversations with, and their conversations and what they talk about is very different than the mainstream narrative. And there is injustices that are happening, and it's not just with one community or another. There's injustices in all, and it's going to change, right? There's always going to be an oppressed population, and I think as we mature as a species, we need to start realizing that that's just not. We can get rid of that. A thing that people don't really talk about, which is relevant in history of the world, is almost every race has been, not almost every race has been enslaved at some point or another, and has been deemed as, a minority. And that continually changes and it evolves. What's happening right now in this world is we have more human beings in slavery than we've ever had in the history of our species, specifically children. So it's not going away. It's a huge passion of mine. It's something that I take very seriously, and it's unfortunately something that's not. It's something that's not taken and had a real conversation around, because there's so many alternative motives, and I don't have any. My only alternative motive is that no one should be oppressed, and specifically, no one should be enslaved for labor or sex. That should just never happen. So
Exactly.
We're way too intelligent as a species now. Cool. When we were more barbaric, and we were chopping people's heads off with swords, we could argue that we were learning, but we should be past that. And unfortunately, we're not. And unfortunately, there's a lot of darkness in this world, but there's so much light. And I mean that in both the positive and in a kind of negative way. There's so much light. That means there's so much positivity. There's so much great happening. But also because of that, and because we've become very spoiled, we don't like to look around the corner. We want to kind of just stay in our bubble or put our heads in the sand and hey, this isn't really happening. But it is. And it's happening in every county, not city, county, which is a big difference. Every county in the United States is dealing with human slavery, specifically children.
And it's
So
increasing. I'm learning so much about it as well around in this area too. Because I mean, even when I go shopping with my kids, I'm a wreck because I have 4. And I'm like, oh my gosh, don't move.
yeah,
Everybody stay by me. And I shouldn't have to when like growing up, oh my goodness, I was running around. I felt so much more freedom as a kid in the 80s. But it's
yeah.
now like, oh my gosh, because my mom was never like that bad. She was always protective, but let me fly a little bit. Whereas now they go outside and I'm like a hawk. I'm like outside. Like I need to let them breathe. But like I'm just so nervous about this. And I mean, imagine if these parents that actually lost their kids, the feelings that they experience every day and looking for their children. And I just don't think there's a solution. I mean, we have so much technology out there. We should have this stuff figured out already. And it shouldn't be increasing. It should be decreasing.
Yeah, and I think there's actually a great docuseries coming out, and you can go check your local listings because it'll be showing all around the country in different theaters, but It's Happening Right Here, from Operation Underground Railroad is the producer. And there's a lot of myths in the trafficking space. The actual likelihood of you going to Walmart and having your child abducted is very low. Does that happen? Yes.
Yes.
It's very, very low. These guys don't want that drama, and they're far too intelligent now. They can get all they need from this, which is the phone. They can literally get on every social platform your child is on. They're on every one of them. I don't care if it's Be Real, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, your gaming profiles. Like these guys are incredibly, incredibly sophisticated, and they know
How
what
do we
they're doing.
stop them? Because I'm worried about with my
You have
kids.
to know, right? And
Yeah.
that's why this documentary is so incredible. It's Happening Right Here is because as parents, you just need to know what's happening. Knowledge is power, and that'll never change.
Yes.
And I think that's something. I'll give you a real life example that happened here. So my daughter's been on rescues with me. She's done camps with me. We do camps for kids that are victims of trafficking or abuse.
Wait, you guys said rescues too?
Oh yeah. I've rescued, I don't even know how many kids.
Yes. Are you kidding me?
No, in one
Sorry,
community.
like loud.
Yeah, you're fine. In one community alone, we rescued 19 girls in one day, the youngest being 11, 12 months old. So,
Why are
and the
you on
oldest being
national
19.
news like right now?
It's not necessary. That's not my jam. I'm cool being the quiet cowboy. But just give you a real example is
awareness,
my,
you know what I mean? Just to raise awareness. Like you are a story. This is amazing. Yeah, well, I'm hearing it now. I'm sharing it with my followers. Please share
There
it.
you go.
Sorry,
There you go.
I'm just amazed.
So real life example, my daughter, it's been about a month ago, she gets this message from seemingly another kid. And it's an artist, right? It's this like someone her age be wanting to be an artist. And she's, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Do you mind if I do a portrait of you? So my daughter brings it to me. Again, open communication, first step in parenting with social media. It's very difficult, but you've got to try. She brings it to me and she said, Dad, this looks so cool. And I was like, yeah, that actually, that's cool. Like, go ahead and say, okay. And so she says, okay. And about 5 minutes later, they respond and they were like, oh, you know what? Actually, I was searching your profile and I'd like to have like a more current photo of you that I can use, as inspiration. And I was like, that's kind of weird. You have a lot of photos on your account, like right there. And most of them are recent, but okay, send them one and pretend it's recent and see what they say. And then about 5 minutes later, they're like, actually, I was thinking about it is like, could we have more of your body? Like, I don't want to just do your face. I think, you're so beautiful. I'd love to do like more of your body. Now, this is where both my spidey senses and luckily my daughter's spidey senses like took off. And it's like, this isn't right. But I said, you know what? This is what we do. Let's take it. Let's go a little further. So Chloe sent a photo of her full body, like in cowboy jeans and, a shirt, whatever, and a hat. And about 5 minutes later, they respond and they're like, oh, I'm just not really good at drawing like a lot of layers and like a lot of clothes. That's just not something I'm good at. Do you think you could send me something that you don't have like jeans on? And right then and there, like we knew that this was not a kid. This was not, whatever. They probably just got on the internet and found some photos and made it look like a kid's account. But that's how good they are. Now, let's pretend I wasn't there, right? Let's pretend my daughter and I hadn't had these conversations. Our children want in this world nothing more than to be recognized, right? Like that's what they want. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to be, validated.
In any way, positive attention or negative attention.
Right. And as much as we as parents can give that to them, the sad part is we're never going to be enough. Not for the developing adolescent brain. It's just not going to happen. So, I would love for us to, sugarcoat it and say, you can keep your kids in homeschool, you can read them the Bible every day, and you can make everything rosy. But at some point, they're going to get in the real world. And when they get in the real world, they're not going to have the skills if you don't teach them how to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. And so, that's a real world example that happened to my daughter. We're on a ranch in the middle of nowhere, and she's being targeted. Now, fast forward, we were just on a road trip. We just got back from a big cutting show. And my daughter went into the bathroom in a gas station, and she texted me and she's like, Dad, I need your help. There's somebody in this bathroom who won't leave me alone. And again, traveling in the middle of nowhere. And she was cognitive enough to realize that this person was following her through the truck stop gas station and also then followed her into the bathroom. Now, it was a woman, but she just had that feeling, right? She just had that like icky feeling, and she was able to communicate with me about that. Do I love that I'm raising a daughter and a son in the world that they have to do that? No, but it is the facts. And as you said, what can we do about it? I mean, that's a big question, but the first thing we have to do about it is educate ourselves. Yeah. And then there are guys like myself and Operation Underground Railroad who are working on changing the laws. We're working on a lot of different things. We had a lot of momentum during the Trump administration. I do not want to make this political, but it's factual. Lots of momentum. Trump did more for human trafficking, specifically with children, than any president in U.S. history. And Biden has done more to erase everything Trump did more than any president in U.S. history. So almost, I can't remember how many, but it was over 30 executive orders he signed to reverse everything Trump did in child human trafficking. Again, not making it political. It's just factual. We need governmental laws. We need these guys to be scared.
We I don't care if you like Trump. I don't care if you like Biden. I know we love our children. We need to do something about this.
And so that's, how are we going to stop them? I'll give you another story. I did a rescue in a community that was very, very tight knit. And I ended up talking with the patriarchal grandma, right? So she's in her late 80s. And we did a rescue, and I sat down with her, and she said, Wes, I just want to tell you, she said, I'm third generation in this community. Like, she's alive. She has 3 generations, behind her. Maybe it was even 4. I can't remember. But she told me that when she was a 14-year-old girl, there was one of her friends who was touched, molested, something happened to her. She came to the city and told everybody what happened. And again, this is in this woman's lifetime. I mean, she was probably like 89, 90, maybe at the oldest. We'll just say she was 100 just for kicks and giggles. So she's 100 years old. She's 15 years old when this happens. This person comes forward in her community, the girl, the law enforcement, everybody who was there believes the girl, which I get it. There needs to be a little bit. We've grown up a little bit. We don't necessarily believe every single story that comes out of a 15-year-old's mouth, but they did. Yeah. And the punishment, I won't talk about what the punishment was, but it was very, very, very public, a little barbaric. They put the guy in the tree. They got rid of some parts that he didn't need anymore. And they didn't have anybody ever touch a girl again. Until now, fast forward, I'm here, 70 plus years later. And I'm coming in and finding several different individuals who are molesting children. And I think that's the other thing that people don't understand is that I don't know the exact stat, so don't quote me on this, but it's in the high 60s% of individuals, children who are trafficked never leave their home in this country, in the United States of America. And let me explain how that works, because a lot of people are like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. That's why I hate the word trafficked. That's why I keep saying slavery. Is because trafficked is like that movie Taken, right? We're all like, they're going to put them in a container and ship them off to Taiwan. That happens. But again, that's not the majority of what's going on. Here's the majority of what's going on. We went into a small community, met a 14-year-old girl who opened up about 20 or 30 other girls that were in this ring. It was ran by a gentleman who was running a cooking, like a cooking class for children in a very small community, 7,000 population. And he was teaching kids how to cook. Super innocent, right? Super amazing. Well, what he found is that in these smaller communities specifically, you have fathers who pass away or fathers who work, this was a lumber community. So they're out, in the trees doing their thing. It's very, 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 very difficult work. And dads would come home tired, pop open a beer, fall asleep in their recliner. Moms get frustrated because it's not a good relationship. So mom's stepping out or mom's not even around or whatever. These smaller communities seem to have this kind of attraction to a lot of children being very independent because their parents have so much going on. And so this small community, about 30 girls, were being sold and trafficked by this one individual to railroad workers. So as these guys would come through the town, he would sell these girls for sexual favors. And these girls would do this. Now, these girls would go to school, get checked out of school, whatever, go to school, and then go hit up a hotel or some, house, whatever, and then go home. So that's how that works when I say, high 60% of these kids never even leave their homes here in the United States. And there's other ways. You can get on Craigslist. You can see this, kids are being sold in threesomes. Kids are being sold for physical labor. There's all kinds of things that are happening. And this is when, the conspiracy theories started in like COVID of like people were selling people on Wayfair and all that stuff. Like, I'm not going to get into that. Who knows? But what I can tell you is that forget COVID, forget, the conspiracy theories. This stuff's happening all of the time. And so my mission and what we work on is how do we both rescue, how do we rehab, and then how do we also make it so this stuff doesn't keep happening. And one of the things that you can really get yourself motivated by is that the average pedophile, the average person who is going to enslave children is going to enslave 100+ kids in their lifetime, if not more. And so if you can put 4 or 5, 6, 10,000 of those individuals away, and make it so they can't do anything, what that does when we start looking at how do you make an impact is if I stop one person, that's potentially 100 children. That person's never going, that there's 100 kids that are never going to know about being enslaved. And so if you take that and you times that by 500 or 5,000, now you're talking about, wow, we're stopping, millions of children, hundreds of thousands of children from ever being a victim of this slavery. So that's what keeps us motivated because again, we just did a rescue a couple of months ago and it was 100+ kids. And you're like, wow, that feels so good until you look at the 5 million that are being trafficked or being enslaved. And it's like, what is 105 million, right? Do
they just go back to their homes? Like you just take them right back to their homes?
No, they don't. There's an entire aftercare program that I've always done, either whether I was doing it on my own or now that I've partnered with Operation Underground Railroad. That we don't go into any situation of rescuing without there being aftercare. Just won't do it. Because exactly like you said, is that these children are now hyper sensitive. And this is the thing. And there's a little boy in this last rescue that, he, maybe 6, 7 years old, might have been a little bit older, but not much. And his dad was like, hey, did you ever go to that? We ended up raiding an Airbnb, literally. An Airbnb had 100+ kids in it. And the little boy's like, well, I went over there to play video games, but I never took a bath. And his dad's like, wait, what do you mean took a bath? Well, some of the boys took a bath, but I never took a bath. And then it was like, well, I never took a bath with my clothes off. And then it progressively, the little boy started opening up and then he just lost it. And he started sobbing and crying and he was ashamed, even as like I said, a 7, 8-year-old child. He was so ashamed of what he had gone through. He didn't want to tell his dad the truth. Now, imagine being a 15, 16, 17-year-old girl who's done things that you'd never do in a healthy marriage, right? So it's a very difficult situation. You have to have people who are very, 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 very understanding of what those situations are.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so again, you can't, as I call it, you can't always just cowboy your way into the solution. You've got to have, like, there's a time and a place. Trust me. If any of you watch Yellowstone, there's a
Yeah.
time and a place where the train station needs to happen. But if you're going to really solve these problems, you have to have systems. You have to have ways
Yeah.
uh, of creating solutions.
Wow. Well, Wes, we are out of time. I mean, I'm going to have you on again, and we have to like sometime have you back on and, give us an update of what you're doing, how we can support you. So how can we get involved, with this or give you support or my followers? I mean, we want to help the children. I want to save as many kids as I can. So please let us know, like, how can we help you by supporting you, a website, social media? I mean, what do you need us to do?
So, again, like I said, for years, so from 2010, 11, I gotta go back in my memory, somewhere in there, 2011 till just recently, I was pretty solo. We did this, Jody and I, and it was in 2017, 16, somewhere in there. My daughter got a death threat. I've gotten more death threats than I can even count. When you go into a community and you put away the used car salesman of the year, or the mayor, or a bishop, or somebody who's high up in a church calling, whatever, because they're doing horrible things, people don't tend to like you in the family. I've even had sons, I've put fathers away, and then I've had sons come and say, you lied, my dad never did that, I'll find you and kill you. That's whatever. I don't really care. That happens, it happens. But when those death threats come to your children, that's a little different. And so now I work with an organization, Operation Underground Railroad. And I think the first thing, like, money, cool. If you've got money, donate. That's great. The great thing about OUR is, like, that's not their first priority. They've got some really fantastic donors.
Yeah.
It's really about the education. Like, that's the big thing is educate yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Educate yourself first, and really educate yourself. Like, there are some talking heads out there that I wish would shut up, because they don't say the things that really matter, and they're trying to instill fear, because fear creates followers creates revenue. Like I said, the odds of you walking into a Walmart and your child being abducted are very, very low. The odds of your wife going to a football game and being taken is very, very low. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, and we need to be aware, but these guys are much more sophisticated than
A
that.
lot of your kids are on social media.
Yeah. So you got to know. And like I said, they've got it's happening right here. The documentary is insane. It's going to wreck people for them to see how close their kids are to being targeted. And even talks about how you don't even know this, but if your child posts a bikini picture, right? Something simple, like 16-year-old girl goes out with her friends, posts a picture in a bikini, that photo is screen shared or screen captured, excuse me. So, like, capture it and sold in the dark web without your child ever even knowing it. And then these guys get addicted to your child, and then they go and they seek your child and they try to do things with your child. Like, this stuff is real. It's happening in real time. As we're on this interview, I guarantee you children are being exploited. Knowing what they're doing and being able to educate your children, that's huge. And that's what this documentary is really going to do. In a very, very sophisticated and appropriate way, without the fear-mongering nonsense. Because again, we can outthink these guys, right? You can always outthink a criminal. Like, that's the thing people don't understand, is that criminals are emotional, they're fear-based, and they're illogical. We can be, non-emotional, we can be factual, we can be in a powerful space, and we can take action accordingly. There are two things that destroy people, right? Two things. Number one is anger, and number two is fear. Those are the two emotions that will destroy you and make your life a living nightmare. And the more, what was that?
Lead with love.
Yeah. So if you're scared, you're not going to make right decisions. If you're angry, you're not going to make right decisions. So getting angry about this stuff is just not effective. Figuring out what can I do? And everyone can do something. Like, that's the thing too. People don't realize is everyone can do something. And I'll leave this. What's the value of one human's life? Right? Like, what's the value? whether you help one child, not get in that situation, or you help 100,000 children, like, what's the value of one life? Jesus didn't get angry very often. He flipped the tables in the temple because they were using the church to take away from people. That's a big deal, very big deal. And if any of you are in religions, you understand some of the rabbit holes that conversation can go into is how the church manipulates people out of their money. And he wasn't very happy about that. And the second thing that he wasn't very happy about, and he made a pretty strong threat. I'm no Bible, expert, but I believe it's one of the only threats Jesus ever made while he was here, which is, if you do anything to these kids, you might as well like tie the heaviest object you can find around your neck and dive into the deepest part of the ocean. You'd be safer there. That's pretty insane. That those are the two things that, whether you believe in God or not, the most historical figure on this earth, right? 3,000 years we've been talking about him.
Yes.
and he gets mad at two things: the church taking advantage of people financially, and hurting children. Yeah. So, I think even if you
hurt these babies, I mean, they are just
right. And there you are holding a baby during this entire call, which is I know you wanted him to sleep.
But... I mean, he just woke up, so it's live television. We just go with it. We're moms and dads here. And I thought we were going to be talking about all this, like you speaking in your ranch, and like you just out of nowhere. I mean, we go in the archives here. I did not see anything about what you're doing, and I'm like blown away by this. I didn't even cook yet. We don't even have time. I'm going to definitely guys, the recipe that I have today. First of all, Wes, thank you so much for saving our children. You're doing God's work. You are helping the world, and we want to support you. So guys, where can we find your social media handle, Wes?
So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much on Instagram. That's about the only social I really do. Okay. Every once in a while I pop onto Facebook, but it's just Wes D. Chapman on Instagram. Follow me over there, ask questions over there. I do my best. My account's kind of starting to take off. So to your point, you can kind of see it behind me. We're just finishing building a studio here, and I'll be launching a podcast and a couple other things that we'll be doing, and going to utilize the ranch in some different and fun, creative ways. We're going to be doing some, the ranch is already a safe haven for children who are victims of slavery and trafficking. So if they need to come here and spend time with the animals and work with their aftercare person.
God bless you, Wes. We're going to keep you safe.
We're going to do even more, because I know, again, this is the thing. A lot of this dysfunction starts in the schools and the homes. That's where your kids become vulnerable, and you can be the best parent, right? You can think that you're doing everything right, but sometimes you're not, because you just don't understand. And so we're going to do a lot. We've got a lot of different workshops we're going to be planning. So, we're blessed to live where we live, and it's a very sacred space, and everyone who comes here says that. So we're going to try to leverage and use that to, do more good on this earth while we're here.
All right.
That's all we can do.
I love it. You're leading with love. And you know what? We're going to be praying for you, making sure you're safe, your family's safe. I mean, you're doing such big things. You're part of saving this world. And I'm so glad that we had this interview today. I'm just blown away. And you really educated me and my followers. So thank you so much for being with us. Tell Jody, send us our love.
Yeah,
send her my love. Tell her I'm getting my Crockin. We're going to do the creamy ranch, and I'm sure she'll be making something awesome too. So I can't wait to see what she's doing. Jody Chapman, his wife. By the way, Wesley's dad is the dog, the bounty hunter. So it's so funny. It's like in your genes. Like he was like going for criminals all those years, and now look at you. You're out going the bad guys. It's just in your blood to be be heroes. So it's amazing, and I think that's so cool. Like to hear this whole other world you're doing, and we're happy to help. And guys, for my followers out there, we're so over time, but I know this interview was way worth it. This was creamy ranch chicken. It's so easy to do. You're going to put 3 to 4 chicken breasts in your slow cooker. That's what it looks like when we're done. You're going to get a can of cream of chicken, 3 to 4 chicken breasts, a packet of Italian seasoning, the packet and a packet of the ranch, a half a packet of the cream cheese. put that all in the slow cooker, let it cook up for about 5 hours on low or 4 hours on high, and then pour it over your egg noodles or your rice, and boom, you're gonna have a yummy dinner. And I'm gonna be cooking that on Kyle's Halloween parade. So you guys stay tuned. And again, check out Space Racers. I wanted to tell everybody about my awesome Space Racers. We're gonna pull up a picture really quick. It is an amazing show. Speaking of kids, like you're worrying about what the kids are watching online. Well, with Space Racers, you don't have to worry. They literally like have sights and sounds from NASA. It's from they work within NASA. You can find them go to YouTube, Prime Video, and check them out, because it is a show for your preschooler or for kids to learn about space, to educate them in their way. And you don't have to worry about what they're saying. You can cook dinner and worry that there's not going to be anything weird on there that your kids are going to pick up that just are not appropriate. It's a great show. It's so happy and so educational and fun. So check it out, Space Racers. And guys, thank you so much for watching the Crockpot Moms, and stay tuned for more awesome recipes just like this. Bye, everyone.